Hey guys, my name is Samuel from Stellar Steel, and in this video we're going to be doing a quick overview of the WeWeb MCP and the Xano MCP. So WeWeb is a no-code front-end tool, and we know Xano is also a no-code back-end tool. And instead of building your workflow personally, or working hands on to build out your workflow and your design, we're going to be using Claude Code in this scenario. Claude is going to be our assistant right here in this scenario, and for this video we're going to be building out a intake form basically for an SME, for a small medium enterprise that wants to embed the form in their website or behind the QR code. That is what the persona for this video is going to be. And before I started anything, I gave the Cloud Fable my prompts, what I really want to build, and some things I've noticed over building over time from running small experiments. Basically, I told it what I want, I told it what it should look at, and some changes it should notice and make generally. So I told it I want a prompt to feed to Cloud Code as a plan to build a enquiry setup, fed into Xana as the backend and all of that. So this is usually my own first step in setting up something like this. So I usually just tell it, this is what I want to do, and this is what I expect you to provide for me, and then provide a plan. I'm going to go ahead and copy the plan it developed for me. I would also share this in the Notion doc at the end of the video in the comment section, in the description, and you can utilize it also. So right here, it's built out my API endpoints, my table schema, how it's going to be called, what it's going to be utilized for, the rate limit I was going to set up, the web front end to utilize the sheet CDR we created in WeWeb for the design. So I'm not using any design inspiration. It just needs to take elements and components from sheet CDN basically to utilize responsiveness, and that's that. And I'm going to go into Claude Code. I have a conversation set up already. I'm going to create a new session rather, and you can see I already fed it the data already. So I already have my Xano set up basically with the CLI and the MCP. So if you want to set that up, just go into the Xano documentation. They have a very, very detailed documentation. My own advice is to set up the CLI first, then set up the MCP, because the MCP kind of needs your CLI to understand your workspace better. And I'm just going to feed this into Claude Code to start up for me, and we'll see where it takes us. So based off here, you can see it's basically pulling my WeWeb projects. It's pulling my Xano backend. Also, you can see it gets the default what's in my table. I have my authentication table. It has some standard user details and schema, and it's pulling all of that to understand better and have a proper context. It's also reviewing the rate limit setup by set for the form, so we don't get multiple requests. And now it's working towards the schema, as you can see right here. It's building it out, seed rows, how it connects to each other, and enquiries, basically. And that's it's building out the function. And if at any points as I'm reviewing it, I have a change or have an opinion, I could just make my comments and improve based off that. But down the line, it's definitely going to ask more questions. But it's getting this because I use the method of setting up my prompts, giving it a brief idea of what I really want. And that's a really great trick for you to use. Download what you really want for it in the chat section. I advise using Fable because it plans way better and it gives a structure. And then it's devised a plan for me, talking about my inquiry, 3-step form, single form state context variable. This is for the WeWeb section, login and sign up, which is connected to the authentication for Xano. The dashboard, auth page level gate, start card based off what I basically gave it. Analytics is giving me the page name and everything basically. And the build order for user, stages, enquiries, rate limits. It's telling me how it's going to build it. It's telling me the functions it's going to create, the public endpoints, internal endpoints, and any other thing it has for me as a question and anything else for me to review. So this way I can see what's in there. I can also improve what I want. I think I'm just going to go with this since I'm just going with the flow. and I don't have a strict concept or context of what I really want. So that's that. But if you are working in a more confined environment, you should review everything down to the dots. So the plan is proceeding right here, and you can see the Xano build is what's coming first. I'm going to go into Xano to see the build. But basically, the build is going to be in a sandbox environment for us to review before we push it to our original Xano environment. If you're on the free plan, you don't get the sandbox, you can just do a direct push. But you can push to a branch, and then from the branch, you can now push to your main prod, or you can have a testing branch, whatever method works for you, basically. But for me, I'm going to be using the sandbox because it's a paid plan. And we're going to push into the sandbox, review everything, schema, the endpoints, and then we would move to the WeWeb parts. So right here, you can see it's asking me if I want to enable the direct push, if I want to sandbox and review. I'm going to use the sandbox and review because it's the advisable method, basically. You get to review your changes in a sandbox where it's not affecting your real environment, so there's no drastic changes you need to make. Now I'm going to just submit and go with that. So right here we have our sandbox environment. You can see sandbox is live for testing and review. This is the sandbox environment. This is my original environment. You can see all I have are these tables. Basically, where my sandbox, these are the new tables added to it. And I have enquiries, inquiry activity, rate limits, stages, user. I really don't need this. I can just literally use Redis to approve rate limits, but in case you don't have Redis activated on your plan, this is another method. It's it's basically suggesting, not my suggestion. So that's that for this. I don't know if it wants to utilize analytics and all with this logic, but I really want to see where it takes us to. It's not created the APIs yet, because I can only see this APIs, but I can see the database changes and I don't see the functions. So first question is, where are the APIs? So basically you can see it didn't push the APIs, and due to the fact that I reviewed it before pushing to the live environment, it's noticed its mistakes. So it's going to push the functions and then the APIs. So now this is the improved changes with the API endpoint and the functions. So we're going to check our functions here. You can see the function for rate limiting, a fixed 10-minute window, key on IP, maximum five submissions per window. Let's look at it. How is it getting the IP? It's not supposed to get the IP. This is why you actually need to take a look at what it's pushing for you. It's getting the IP through text, whereas it's supposed to get its through a function in here, basically. So I would recommend that, and I'll look at the internal API endpoints. This is for analytics, the dashboard, the enquiries, stages, and all of that. For the Kanban, this is for public, form meta, public and corrected. This is for the intake for data, name, email, company. It's a public endpoint, it understands that properly. This checks the rate limiting. Okay, let's go back to it. How does it get the IP for this? Remote IP. Okay, so it actually gets it properly. So it utilizes the remote IP, and I think there's no need to change that because it did get it. That's a smart one. And login activity, inquiry ID, all of that. For now, let's review and push, and let's move on to the WeWeb section of this. So we're going to review our changes. basically. We want to compare against for branch the V1 live review changes. Sorry, changes. This is the data basically, and also this is what it was before. This is what was added, and we're going to click on next. It's going to push to a new branch. We're going to deploy to the branch, and then we're going to merge the branch with our current one. So we have the Xano part done generally. We're going to be looking at the setup in WeWeb. So we have in the Xano database, we have our data, we have some records, and we have some minor stuff generally to get us up to date, just to generally build our idea out. In our inquiry activity, and we also have inquiries right here. They were all generated with the AI by sending requests to it, basically. And in our Xano CRM sample, which is our web project, we started building out some pages. The first one you can see from the chat is it started out with the enquiry page, and you can see this is the inquiry form, basically. And let's see what it has for her. So it has a multi-step form that it's trying to set up. Let's preview it properly and see what it has for us. It didn't set up the input very well, so that's one thing to consider. You can make design changes around that. And so the multi-step form does work. Goes to the second stage, sets up everything else. Budget range, all of that basically. And it shows the preview of what's done. You can go back. If you have a design, you could make better changes. But in here, I'm going to tell you that they set up the inputs properly and the designs around the inputs very well. And since what do you about us referral, and let's see, submit an inquiry. It's built this page also. Let's see what our inquiry actually goes into our database. And yes, it does. You can see right here immediately went back to the database and was sent properly. And you don't need any authenticated data for you to send something like this. But we did implement the rate limits so far. I think it did in the backend. So the backend is listening to the rate limit, and we'll tell you to continue along the pages, and I would prompt better to improve the design and see what it had built for us across the other pages and the design improvements. So right here, you can see we made improvements to it. This is how I usually improve whenever there's a mistake or something occurs where I want to change. I usually just get a screen grab of what was outputted instead of having Claude go back and forth and trying to review it on its own. I tell it the changes they made. I said the inputs needs to be better, same as the buttons. They don't have any border and the button doesn't have any background color, and now it's been improved, like you can see right here. And I gave the screen grab of what it was before right here, basically. And this was it before, and I gave Claude the outputs previously, and that's that. And that was a way to fix the issue. Sometimes if it's your design system, you can just give it your Figma design or something, and it would make the changes basically. And now it's fixed the classes, shut around the buttons. So if I come here, would have the appropriate class, right? The components, what's in, defaults. And this is also good whenever you have a Xano app, basically, or a Figma app, you have Figma designs. You can just utilize Claude to import your tokens and your design system basically into WeWeb, and you can have WeWeb build off that, so it's easier to build and uses less tokens to build out your design in WeWeb. So that's a great trick I usually use. That's something you can implement also. And it's not necessarily refresh, but the change already refreshed on its own, and you can see right here it's been implemented basically. And we'll just tell it to continue with the other pages and see where it also takes us from there. So right here we reviewed our the changes basically and told it to build out the rest of the page. I didn't show out the individual prompts and everything because it took a while for it to set up. But generally, I told it to review the remaining pages, build them out. It built out each page, utilized WeWeb's MCP documentation attached. The documentation attached to the MCP, and you can see it built out the Kanban board and everything basically, and all the front end work plan. Oh, and this is what we have, more or less. We have authentication pages, the login, the sign up, and like I said, this is based off the ShatCDN design system. So it's literally just reviewing each component from ShatCDN and building it in WeWeb right here and utilizing the backend designer. So we built out the whole backend designer, and we have our inquiry from like we showed earlier. It's improved the changes. So it's not always going to be perfect. You can improve the few things yourself. But I think my favorite part about all of this is it helps me iterate faster. I'm sharing around testing a new feature, and if you have a knowledge gap, basically, you don't know how to develop a particular thing yourself, you could prompt Claude to help you with it, to ideas better, to flesh out the unnecessary items in your idea, and have it build it out for you so you can see. Or I mean, just a minor design change around the padding, and it takes in the whole data. This is our inquiry list. Build out a list of inquiries. It's failing because I've not logged in. And we're going to do a sample sign up. You can see it even comes all the filters for everything basically. And Kanban right here, the page links also works. You can make a few design changes to the Kanban board to make it be what I really want. I don't have a minimum height, just make it 100% of the page. So preview it. Still has the still has the blocker right here. I want to remove that. I want it to fill the page properly. So I'll find out why this is not filling the page properly and fix up on that. This should be it. That's not it, but let's proceed to signing up and previewing the data. So it built out the whole workflow basically. Since WeWeb made some changes to the authentication setup, we built out the workflow, the submitting states, previous error message, all of that. I used to actually not like setting all of this up. It was repetitive and quite annoying to always set it up. And authenticate session, sign up, gets the authenticated user. Um, that works. That works. Let's test it and join. And it signed us up. And yeah, you can see we have the recent inquiries, open, converted, 0% conversion rates. So that's what was available last week. This shows us each inquiry. Let's go to our inquiries table. Let's see if we brought out the pop-up basically. All stages. The filter. What does the filter have for me? So I guess the filter is not implemented properly. The filter isn't working properly, but we have our data regardless. You see that a few things to flesh out. The pop inquiries here. Let's see what comes up with search also. No, but we can also dive in further and find out why it's has an error or not. But we can go to the Kanban page. Still also not coming up. Oh, we have it here in the Kanban section. I can move it. Versus Kanban move so it's not 100% perfect, you understand, but it's a great way to start and a great way to review ideas basically. You can go in, prompt it better, make more changes, and it would get it to the point where you're comfortable. But for the purpose of this video, it's just a quick easy setup for you. And in the next video, we'll show you how to go in deeper and build out a full product using this setup basically. And that's that. We have the analytics page. Came with some data, inquiries every time. So I'm not going to go in depth and try to avoid all errors and what's causing it and how to reprompt and all of that because we're past the timeline for this video. But if you'd like to see more of this, you can like and subscribe, and I'll be going in deeper using the stack for you to learn how to build and iterate better in these tools. So thank you.